Highlights, a show where I recap something like it's sports, even though I know it's not. This season we are covering All Stars 6, and for this week we are going to look at the top Twitter reactions from episode 3, Drag Race related news from the past week, and looking at the stats going into episode 4. But first, let's very quickly recap last week. It's time for Previously On. Last week's episode was Side Hustles, a branding challenge episode where the queens were split into 3 teams and challenged to create a commercial for a side business. The queens were also judged as teams, which meant the losing team would be completely up for elimination, putting Jan, Ginger, Silky, and Akira all at risk for the chop when their team ended up in the bottom. Meanwhile, the rest of the queens were safe, and Trinity K. Bonet took the top spot and got to lip sync for her legacy against secret lip sync assassin Laganja Estranja, who also had the greatest entrance of all time.
Oh, y'all wanted a twist, eh?
Oh.
Come on, All-Star 6, let's get sickening, oh.
I've seriously been watching that clip over and over for several days now. But after an amazing and historic lip sync, Laganja took the win, meaning whoever the group chose would be eliminated. Unfortunately, meaning Silky would be moving on. All right, let's look at the top tweets reacting to last week's episode. For real, if this doesn't earn Laganja a spot in All-Star 7, I really don't know what does. But real quick, let's look at the breaking Drag Race news coming after last week's episode. The MTV special and hopefully ongoing series from the producers of Drag Race called Dragging the Classics premiered with a Brady Bunch episode. Several Drag Race alum, including RuPaul and Michelle Visage even, joined the original Brady cast in bringing the special to life. You can watch it now on Paramount+. Manila Luzon was announced as the host of a new drag-themed television show in the Philippines, I believe the first of its kind. The actual format of the show and premiere date were not laid out in the announcements though, so more to come. Drag Race will continue to exhaust its fan base by taking over another country and thus another season to binge, as Drag Race Italia was just announced as the next all-new incarnation of the series. All right, you ready for this week's new episode of All-Star 6? It's time for the scoreboard. So once again, these are the queens we started with. And of course, off they go. Here are the queens we have left. Last week we said goodbye to Silky Nutmeg Ganache, meaning this week we will see which queen is going to sashay her way into 10th place. Now this has already drastically changed compared to last week, since we had 4 queens up for elimination this last episode. This means that Kylie Sonique Love, Pandora Box, Eureka, Raja O'Hara, and Scarlet Envy are the only queens who have not been up for elimination yet. And it's only episode 4 this week. In terms of top stats, Yara Sofia, Raja O'Hara, and Trinity K. Bonet all have one challenge win under their belt. In terms of winnings, like financial winnings, Raja O'Hara has $25,000 under her belt after winning a substantial cash tip in her legacy lip sync. That being said, Raja O'Hara is the only one of the three to actually win a legacy lip sync so far against their lip sync assassins, though it should be noted that hers did end in a tie. This week's episode will include a Hall of Fame halftime show, where the queens will be challenged to put on a halftime show all-star style. The actual name of the episode I'm not quite sure on, but they're pretty on the nose with the challenges, so I'm expecting it to be something like this. But either way, that's what we are going to be getting going into this week's episode. And there you have it already. You're all caught up and ready to go into this week's episode. Thank you for going over the highlights again with me this week, and I will see you next week.